Hello. Yeah, I like the hair wrap. So, um, I was talking about the keys to authenticity through vulnerability and how much of how pivotal it is. You can't have one without the other. We talk about embodying one, but not really more so how to get there. And vulnerability is the key, right? And that was basically the summary of my hermit mode, like the key lesson throughout the 3 months that I was in hermit mode, where that's what I was called to learn, because I've been told walking your authenticity, watch where it gets you, walking your authenticity, see where it gets you for so long. But especially as someone who is from up north, from upstate New York at that, where it's super cold, cold makes people very angry. Okay, it's not like down here in Atlanta where people are nice nasty, but a lot of people are nice. They have a calmer demeanor, and if they have a rough demeanor, they probably done been through some shit, because being in the South where it's all sun rays and shit, and it's a nice place to be. You got to be going through some really rough shit for it to be that way. But anyways, a part of that revelation, I went to dance class. For those of you who don't know, I am an aerialist. My apparatus of usual choice is the lyra. However, I do dabble in pole every once in a while. It's a very beautiful art form. Okay, I don't look at it the way that other people do, who may be a little bit like hypo religious, or just see it from a stigmatized view. But if you don't know, the reason the way how pole came to be was because Russian ballerinas wanted to do ballerina shit on a pole because they thought it would be even more beautiful. Now here in the Western world, especially where I live, it's been very sexualized. And for me, that's okay, because I feel like everyone has the right to do what they want to do with their bodies. I feel like everyone deserves to feel confident in their body. And if sensual dance does that for you, then who am I to judge you? I'm not gonna judge you. I'm gonna do it with you, right? So when I was sick, I felt really out of my body, and I always said if I ever got unsick, I would start pole classes, right? I feel like pole is just so liberating. Turns out Lyra stole my heart, and that's why I'm an occasional pole girly, but not really like well versed in it. But Lyra is still very sensual, and it's very connecting to your body, and just feeling in control of your body. And as someone who felt like her body was a prison due to chronic illness, I felt like that was the best way for me to regain authority and autonomy over my own body once I got better again. Because even though I did get physically better, mentally I was still really messed up. I didn't know who I was. I had a year basically taken off of my life on top of COVID, where everyone got like 1 to 2 years taking off of their lives and having to figure out where life goes from there. And Lyra really helped me find my sense of self. But lately, every once in a while, I'll go to something called Lyrical Lyra. So it's still very beautiful and sensual, but it has more of a contemporary undertone. And I just noticed that I was yearning for that way more than like Lyra. And I noticed it was because, according to my journey, in regards to walking in authenticity and vulnerability, I was looking for more heart-centered dance structures, right? Even though I always put my all into my performances always made people cry at my studio, because I always had some type of deeper lesson, and that wasn't really what you came there for. You came for the sexy, you came for the sensual, and I gave you both. You would cry and then you'd be like, oh my god, I like how she do that. I balanced it out, right? But I feel like in this point in my life, I'm really craving heart-centered work. That's not meaning I'm gonna throw away Lyra, but I've been working on my sacral for a while. I feel like my sacral and my solar for a while. Now I feel like it's time to tap into my heart space, right? So I went to my first contemporary dance class, and I won't lie, it was hard. It was hard tapping into that emotion. I went to the I'm not gonna say where, but yeah, it was really cool. It was nice to learn from instructors outside of what I was used to. And it was very freeing. It was nice to just be a beginner again. And I think that's one thing that we hate to be, is a beginner. But the thing is, when you try new experiences, and that's why I push myself to go, when you try new experiences, you are stuck in a, oh my God, I don't know what could possibly happen. I was in a new side of town that I was not familiar with, at a new studio who I didn't know who I would be around or whether I'll be comfortable. It was just so many what ifs. And that's the thing. That is the key to your abundance. When you get comfy with being uncomfy and trying new things and just seeing what sticks and just taking every opportunity to expand yourself, your life will expand around you. And that's what really was driving me to make sure that I did this class, because I was very nervous. Like, I know contemporary, even in Atlanta, especially because they're starting to gentrify Atlanta really bad, it's not a lot of people who look like me. And of course, when I got there, I was the only person who looked like me in class. But the instructor, she was so cool. She was so welcoming and inviting. But I also felt an energy of competition in the room in regards to some of the ladies that were in the space. And what I was feeling energetically was that in dance class, they felt the need to compete, to self-soothe their insecurities around how well they can dance. And I was trying my best to not internalize that energy as my own, or to absorb that energy as my own, because I'm clairsentient. It's really hard to not absorb energy. I have to work really hard to like make sure I close myself off. But that's what I picked up on from some of the ladies. And because of that, it was kind of conflicting, because I'm like, oh, I'm here to open my heart space. But I'm literally seeing people around me with closed heart spaces in ways where they're not really looking to open their heart space. They just want to learn a new form of dance, and that's it. So I don't know. I guess just my perspective going in there was way different from other people's perspective going into the class. And because of that, it just kind of messed with my head a little bit. But like I said, the class was great. I definitely feel like if I keep going with it, I will be very successful at it. And I already felt myself like about to cry. And it's those emotional releases that you get with styles like contemporary and lyrical that really let you know that you're operating from a heart space place. When you operate from a heart space place, you can, sorry, my dog's barking and it's pissing me off. You activate your abundance. You tell your outer world, okay, I'm ready for new experiences that I'm not exactly sure where I'll end up, but I know that at least I'll have the experience. I'm ready for that. That is what you tell your outer reality when you choose to do the inner work and search for certain things that will light you up inside. And that's what contemporary did for me. So I signed up for like 5 classes. They're having it for only 2 months, but I'm gonna make sure that I get every single slot I can, because I really enjoy the art form. And yeah, and on top of that, I've also noticed that I'm being called to set boundaries more. This is gonna be a little uncomfy for me to talk about, but because I don't like people knowing this about me, but it's always been something that I've dealt with. And because I didn't want people to know that I struggled with it, I kind of ignored it myself. Therefore, I couldn't heal it, but I'm ready to heal it now. I don't like confrontation. Confrontation has never been my strong suit. And it's not that I'm scared of people. It's not that I'm scared to defend myself, so to speak. Confrontation just triggers me due to my childhood trauma, due to what I experienced with my parents whenever I spoke up about certain things. And if you look on my Instagram and a little bit on my YouTube, you'll see where I talk about speaking up for yourself even if your voice shakes. You'll see that I talk about walking in your authenticity and being a truth teller, and especially like as a child, how that can make life harder for you even though you're doing the right thing. And I was placed in a situation today, and honestly for the past couple of days, where I've just been forced to speak up. So I work with children right now, and I have this beautiful client. I can't say too much about it because it's ABA, But she, how can I say this? She's amazing. Bright personality, very independent, very intellectual. But sometimes that rubs the wrong people the wrong way, because they don't like when little girls know who they are at a young age. They don't like when little girls have the audacity to affirm their autonomy. And yes, she could definitely like learn some things. I mean, she's a child, she's very young, like respecting people's boundaries and, you know, just giving people personal space, stuff like that. Stuff that, you know, if I got here 5 years ago, I would struggle with it too, right? But some people who work with children don't have that mindset. They don't deserve to be around children. They don't deserve to work with children. They don't deserve anything in regards to children. In fact, all they do is pour their childhood trauma onto these children. And that's not right. So my client commands attention, even when she doesn't try. She's beautiful. She has really, I can't say too much. I'm trying to say too much because I can't get in trouble. But let's just say it's some grown woman who would be very jealous of her physical attributes, even at 5 years old, and I'm gonna leave it at that. And I feel like because of that, they say snarky remarks in regards to her behind her back, and sometimes they'll say it to her face in like the wrapping of a joke. And I'm still battling the wound of people calling me sensitive, but I'm also battling the fact that I was once my client, where I would tell my parents, oh, this teacher is bullying me, do something about it, and I was not believed because the teacher either told their side that seemed more convincing even though my story never changed, or nothing was done at all. And because of that, I just felt like I had this personal sense of justice to make sure that nobody messed with her. And because of the fact that I was giving people the benefit of the doubt, it kind of boiled up inside me. And one thing about being clairsentient is that you energetically, you feel it when you're supposed to speak up about something. When you don't do what you're supposed to do in regards to speaking up, speaking out, doing stuff that is aligned with your greatest and highest good, or with the greatest and highest good of others, especially children, you will get blockages until you speak up. You will bear the brunt of the storm that you were meant to cast outside of you by it being inside of you, right? And I decided today that I was not going to let the storm be inside me while I have to work to release these blockages another way. I wasn't going to do it. So for one, I told the manager, like, look, this is what's going on. My higher up, BCBA, already knows. But she's now telehealth, meaning like she's long distance now because she had recently moved. So she can't really do anything about it anymore. And she said that she saw it, but it would happen so quick that she didn't have time to address it. But I'm here, I'm seeing it every day, and I'm addressing it to you now. Someone needs to talk to her. They talked to the girl who I'm referring to, who was just being really rude and nasty to my client, like every fucking day. Mind you, like I said, my client is very bubbly to everyone, talks to literally every single person in the room. She don't even say hello to her no more. To take away her personality because of the way that you fucking act, that was enough for me. So that happened. I spoke up, but it wasn't enough because I still felt a lump in my throat. When I told the manager, the lump in my chest left because I had did something from a heart space place. I didn't do anything for myself. I was very vulnerable for my client in speaking up for what I did not like. And even though she would never say anything about if it bothered her or not, she's very she's very perceptive. She's really good at perceiving stuff, okay? So even though she never addressed it, she probably doesn't have the words. Because I wouldn't have the words either if a whole big-ass adult was bullying me and projecting their childhood trauma onto me and their misery onto me. I wouldn't have the words either. I didn't have the words back then, but now I have the choice to be that for somebody else. And when I told the manager, I went to the higher ups, it just wasn't enough for me. I still felt that lump in my throat. My throat chakra was still calling me to action. So I pulled the girl aside. I was real respectful. You know, I didn't like turn up in front of like her peers or whatever. I wasn't trying to embarrass her. I was trying to come real respectful because I'm not used to confrontation, like I said. Like, I think of confrontation and I think, oh, if I confront you about something, it's going to turn violent automatically. That's how I perceive it, because that's the only thing that I've known, right? That's the only thing that I've seen throughout my life. But I have to learn, and I can only learn through trial and error. And it felt like this wasn't just a thing that just so happened to happen. It felt like it was a test, and that I was constantly failing the test or gaslighting myself out of passing the test. And it was going to get to a point where either you're going to get sick again, because I didn't tell y'all this, but what made me sicker was all the inner emotions that I was holding inside. In order for me to get physically better back when I was chronically ill, I first had to start with unwrapping my emotions that I would not address while I was fully healthy. Well, before, when I was fully healthy. In order for me to get healthy, I had to address them. And that still happens. That happens with everyone. They may not be aware of it, but it happens. So, I say, hey, do you remember when you did this, that, and the third this morning? She looked me dead in my face and said she did not remember. And I know she's lying, because I wasn't the only one in the room. They can pull cameras. Like, it really wasn't that long ago, okay? I'm only at work for 6 hours a day. Let's be for real. But she kept denying. And then I'm like, okay, well, just don't talk to her no more. Simple as that. And I left, and she's like, girl, like brushing me off. And it's like, okay, in that moment, when I heard that girl, I could have took that as like some very offensive shit, because I'm not used to confrontation. Like I said, like, it's new territory for me to confront someone and it not resort to violence. So I let it go. I kept walking. I took my break, blah, blah, blah. I go and I sit in my car for my break. Automatically, I burp. When I burp, that energetic blockage was released. If you don't know, in regards to energetic releases, it can come in the form of crying. It can come in the form of physical releasing of gas. It can come in the form of thoughts and repressed memories coming up to the surface. It's plenty of ways that those blockages can present themselves as releasing, but it'll usually show up when you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a tightness or pain. And don't let yourself get sick, because it's going to take you even longer to get better. Like I said, it happened to me. So yeah, I just feel like outside of this hermit mode and this transition and this, all of it, now it's time to put into practice what I've learned. And what I've learned is to always operate from a heart space place. Even if you're thinking logically, still think logically and still implement a heart space place in regards to the way that you move. Heart space place for yourself, love for yourself, love for those around you. Like, even if you don't fuck with the person, bruh, how do I say this? You ain't gotta love the motherfucker. That's how I feel. You don't have to love who they are, but you can love yourself enough to not let them control your emotions, to not let what they do weigh you down. Operate from a heart space place when it comes to yourself first and foremost. If it's somebody that you just completely cannot stand and you cannot find it in your heart to have love for them, don't have nothing for them. Nothing them. I nothing you. I'm not going to hate you. I nothing you. Don't let them take any space in your mental. But that's what I'm learning. Now, if I'm talking about people as a whole, people can be very amazing. And when I think of the type of people that I talk about, when I say people are amazing, those are the people that I will always lead with love for. Always. Always. Now, to the people who are just like toxic, adversive, I nothing you, especially if you're toxic to me, especially if loving you is toxic to me, I nothing you. Like, nothing. I don't think nothing of you. But just operate from that heart space place, and also using my heart space as a compass to know when to speak up for myself and others, and being the person that my inner child would have been okay with guarding them, being the person my inner child would have ran to for solace, is what I'm really focused on, and using that as my compass to know when to speak up for people, when to speak up for myself, what avenue I should take in regards to speaking up to myself, speaking up for myself, depending on what type of situation that it is, but always operating from a heart space place of love for myself first and foremost. I pour that love into my music, especially because I know that there will be people who resonate with my music, who are on the same journey as me, or who want to be on the same journey as me, or who will be inspired by my music to go maybe on a similar journey as me, or that will just simply feel seen. And that is a form of love. Me being vulnerable enough to bear it all on pad and pen and eventually go to the studio, that is a form of love, right? Especially if I know that I'm doing it from a heart space place and I'm speaking up for those that I care about. I care about people who are a mirror reflection of me, even the old versions of me that I no longer resonate with. I love those people, okay? Because I understand them in a way that a lot of people don't. And it's important for me to operate from a heart space place for past versions of myself, future versions of myself, and for people who are a reflection of me. And those who I am meant to inspire in this lifetime, or even change the hearts of. I mean, like, that's not the goal. If I'm being honest, I'm not really here to convince anybody or change the hearts of anyone. If it happens, I mean, that's great. But I'm not really going with that mindset because I feel like that's kind of draining. I would rather just focus on those who just naturally resonate with me. But I mean, if I do happen to change some hearts, cool. I would love that. Okay. I feel a lot better now. Kind of going back to the first part of the video when I was talking about contemporary dance. The reason why I never touched contemporary dance was because I had this narcissist, I can't even call him an ex, who was very self-centered, very egotistical, really only cared about himself. Even though he would do things for me, he would do things for me because it made himself look good. Because if anything ever went wrong, if I ever questioned his why, he would immediately go to other people and just say how much of a bad person I was, or whatever type of narrative he was spewing, to basically have fuel and ammo for when he would publicly embarrass me, or at least try to, or to just be nasty, you know, just being nasty in general. But one thing that I always noticed is that for him, everything was a competition, because we did have similar interests. But what I noticed was everything was always a competition. Oh, I can sing better than you. I can do this better than you. And it's like, I care about you. I don't see you as my competition, but he always did. And then, you know, when people see you as competition, especially when they're so close to you, you definitely have to watch your back. And I should have. I learned my lesson. But the reason why I never touched contemporary is because I felt like he did so much subconscious damage, to where I would never enter a lane where he felt like he thrived in. I think to a certain extent, I kind of absorbed some of his feelings towards what I was capable of doing, even though he knew just how capable and just how powerful I was, or else he wouldn't have been gunning for me. And I'm literally your partner, you know what I'm saying? But doing contemporary and noticing that, like, you know, because it's a new art, I'm not really like as good as it as I would like to be, but being okay with being a beginner, knowing that you have to start to be great. You don't have to be great to start, and just being okay with the journey. I just noticed that that's also a part of me being vulnerable and me taking the steps to take to not only heal myself, but to heal others, because I know that will translate to every single aspect of my life. Everything that I've talked about, during this video is going to translate to every other aspect of my life, and it's going to lead me to exactly where I want to be. So I guess I'm just feeling a lot right now. I'm feeling gratitude. I'm feeling sadness. I'm feeling a little bit of shame due to past traumas around confrontation. I'm feeling joy. And I feel at peace. It's a lot of emotions going right now, but I'm honoring them the best way that I can. So, yeah. This is my update on my authenticity plus vulnerability journey. Also, people love authenticity and vulnerability. Do you want to know why? We're literally in the age of AI. Fake shit. Posers. People pretending to be what they're not, making the people who are actually like that look bad. Because we have to try extra hard, because some people lack discernment. We gotta try extra hard to just make sure that people know that we are who we are, which, I mean, in a way, we shouldn't be doing that, because it's like, or you don't have to do that, because at the end of the day, your energy will speak for itself. But some people just lack discernment, bro. Like, they will be following whole wolves in sheep's clothing, thinking that, like, they're a good person or that they're a good leader or whatever, and they will lead them right to hell, because they lack discernment. They don't know the difference between someone who is of the greatest and highest good, is of light, versus someone who is walking in false light. But one thing about false light, the mask always comes down. There will always come a point in time where the energy shifts, either because their supply, which is usually the person who is actually like the person who they're pretending to be, is no longer in their life, or they recognize that there is no more energetic currency, or there's no more abundance attached to playing that role. People are craving authenticity and vulnerability for that specific reason. People are not who they pretend to be, and you really have to vet the fuck out of them. That's just what it is. But the good thing for people like me, it's easy for us to be ourselves, especially for those who went our entire lives not, like, even when we tried not to be ourselves, like maybe as children, we literally could not stop being ourselves, and we got pointed out at every single corner. But now, it is our time. I can just see myself as like the Elmo emoji with the fire behind it, like, it is our time, you know? Because you can't fake this shit. You can't fake this shit. But either way, anyways, thanks for listening. I'm gonna enjoy the other half of my Chipotle burrito. Y'all have a nice day.